Hello, hello. It's your boy iDOit Cartoons. About 2 months ago, probably. I can't see the exact date, but I know it wasn't just a month ago. I started this bracket of who's your favorite player from every team. I thought it'd be cool to see who's my community's favorite player from every team. And then once we had all the results, I thought, hey, maybe it'd be cool to do like a little tournament thing, see who like my community's favorite player overall is. The answer might not be that shocking, but I thought it'd be cool. Let's go through this journey, dude. And of course, I had to start off with my favorite team. It was the Los Angeles / St. Louis Rams. No, Baltimore or Cleveland or whatever. It was Aaron Donald, Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner, and Eric Dickerson. A lot of other guys I wanted to throw on here, like Torrey Holt's my favorite. Todd Gurley's another great player, Cooper Kupp, but you only get 4 slots, so these are the 4 I went through, tried to get all the generations in, and the winner was, forgot to hit the button, darn, oops, no red, and the winner was, Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald had 56% of the poll rating. But enough about the Rams, let's go to the next team. Next team was the Arizona Cardinals. I went by division. And the Cardinals are probably the team I like the best out of the rest of the NFC West teams. I couldn't think of a lot of guys for this, so I went with Larry Fitzgerald, Aeneas Williams, Kurt Warner, and Kyler Murray. There's other guys I could have added on here, like Anquan Bolden, Carson Palmer, a few other guys, but these are the ones who came to mind for me. And this is probably the biggest blowout of any of the polls. This one was Larry Fitzgerald with 87%, Aeneas Williams getting 4%, Kurt Warner 6%, Kyler Murray 3%. All right, next team. All right, then we got Seattle Seahawks. The options I went with here was Marshawn Lynch, Steve Largent, Sean Alexander, and Russell Wilson. The main thing I remember about this poll was somebody was not happy that I included Sean Alexander in here. I mean, I don't know what to say. I thought he was a popular Seattle guy, but... Oh, nope. Come on, get off me. I thought he was a popular Seattle guy, but I guess not to everybody. But he did not come in last. Steve Largent came in last. But other guys I wanted to add on here was like Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman. I guess the Legion of Boom. TJ Hushmanzada was cool. Bobby Wagner's cool. But the winner of this, and we're seeing a theme here, the last 2 were the first option, and this one was the first option. Marshawn Lynch is probably who I would have guessed also, by the way. But that's who won. 83%, Steve Largent had 3%, Sean Alexander 6%, Russell Wilson 8%. It's good to see everybody doesn't hate him, in Seattle at least. Now, it's a team that's beat my team a lot recently. That would be the San Francisco 49ers. And the options here was Jerry Rice, Patrick Willis, Deebo Samuel, and Joe Montana. I think this one was also obvious, and it was Jerry Rice Cake with 58% of the votes. This one was probably the closest of the 4 teams in the NFC West, because Patrick Willis got 14%, Deebo Samuel 6%, but then Joe Montana got 22%. Also, I forgot to mention this. Let me go back a little bit. The first poll, the Rams one, got 50 votes, which it got 49 votes, but which was pretty good for me at the time. This was my most voted on poll until the Cardinals one came out, which more than doubled it, like tripled it. And it got 186 votes, so that was my first ever poll that got over 100 votes. And the very next one, 172 votes. And then when we got to the Niners, it was 250 votes. That's still one of my highest voted on polls, and I am very grateful. I think that's super cool that people think these are interesting enough to vote on. But anyways, let me move on to, not all the way there, the Broncos. The Broncos, I put in John Elway, Shannon Sharp, Von Miller, and Peyton Manning. There's other guys I would have liked to have known if they would have got a vote or not, which like Tim Tebow or Demarius Thomas. Blanking on the running back's name right now. Something Davis, dang. Terrell Davis, Champ Bailey. I remember somebody put that in the comments. Champ Bailey probably, I don't know, if I put Champ on, who do I kick out, you know? But the winner of this one was, surprisingly, not the first one for once, right? Shannon Sharp. And Shannon Sharp is a real big personality right now, so I think that might have played a part into the voting. But I live in Colorado, so it was good to get a Denver one in here, get Colorado in here. Anyways, Shannon Sharp won with 47%, John Elway had 17%, Von Miller had 23%, and Peyton Manning had 13%. What I remember about this poll is somebody in the comments was like, Peyton's not a Bronco, or something like that. I don't see Peyton as a Bronco. And I thought this was funny because when we get to the Colts poll, somebody said something different. And that one had 184 votes. So Shannon Sharp, 47% of 184. I'm not doing the math. Let's move on though to Mortal Kombat. No, I'm just playing. The Chiefs. Oops, let me wipe that. The Chiefs. We had Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Derek Thomas, and Tony Gonzalez. This one got 95 votes, and the winner of this one was, other ones I wanted to add. Dante Hall was another guy I wanted to add on here. I believe his name was Dwayne Bowe. I liked Dwayne Bowe. What was his name? Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare or something like that. I didn't watch then, but he had a Football Life episode. Sorry, Chiefs fans, I can't think of a lot of them off the rip right now. But the winner of this one was, and I feel like this one was pretty obvious, Patrick Mahomes had 58% of the vote. Travis Kelce had 14% of the vote. Derek Thomas got 8% of the vote. And Tony Gonzalez got 20% of the vote. I was a little surprised Tony Gonzalez outbeat, had more percentage, had a higher percentage, probably I should say, than Travis Kelce. Not that Tony Gonzalez isn't better than Travis Kelce or Travis Kelce isn't better than Tony Gonzalez. Just, recency bias and all. He's in all the commercials, but maybe people are just hating because he's dating Taylor Swift apparently. Maybe. Let's see though. Let's move on. Oh, Jamal Charles is another guy I would have liked to have seen. What he got, but yep, moving on. And now we've got the Raiders. Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, Los Angeles Raiders, whatever. I threw on here Charles Woodson, Ndamdi Asamoah, Marcus Allen, Tim Brown. I don't know. Maybe people won't like Ndamdi Asamoah on here, but this is like the Mount Rushmore for Raiders in my head that I can at least think of at the moment. Maybe Howie Long, or I don't know. Sorry, Raider fans. But winning this poll was Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson, 225 votes. No, I'm sorry. Out of 225 votes, Charles Woodson got 56%. Ndamdi Asamoah got 6%. Marcus Allen got 23%, and Tim Brown got 16%. It says I have 14 comments in here, so I don't remember what they were. I'll check afterwards, but let's move on. If anybody watched this, let me know if I should make a video like this on the NBA quizzes I've been doing. But moving on, we have the Chargers. And we got LaDainian Tomlinson, Kellen Winslow, Keenan Allen, and Dan Fouts. Other notable guys, Justin Herbert, Phillip Rivers, Vincent Jackson, even Darren Sproles come to mind. Antonio Cromartie. Wow, Antonio Gates. I didn't even put him on here. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, a lot of guys, but I tried to get all the errors that I could think of. And enough stalling. The winner of this one was LaDainian Tomlinson getting 135. Dang it, I did it again. 82% of 135 votes. Kellen Winslow got 7%. Keenan Allen got 5%. Dan Fouts got 6%. I'm not going to disagree with the winner of this poll, but out of the rest of these guys, Keenan Allen's probably my favorite. I like LaDainian Tomlinson, but Keenan Allen would be like a close second for me. Just me. I know LT's better, but I'm just saying. I like Keenan Allen. All right. enough of the Chargers. Moving on, we got the Pittsburg Steelers. I would have thought this one was going to be very close, honestly, but I threw on Ben Roethlisberger, Terry Bradshaw, Hines Ward, and Troy Polamalu. And the winner of this one, I'm just going to say it real quick, Hines Ward was my favorite. He's my favorite Steeler, but probably biased there. The winner of this one was, surprise, surprise, not one of the first two picks, Troy Polamalu. Dang, I hit the wrong button. Yeah, I hit the wrong button. Troy Polamalu. Troy Polamalu got 66% of 125 votes. Congratulations. Can't hate that though. Troy Polamalu was. I wouldn't say he's the GOAT safety, but he's definitely in the conversation, in my opinion at least. I would love to see Troy Polamalu playing now with the freaking tush push. But moving on from there, the Steelers' rival, we got the Baltimore Ravens. I put Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Joe Flacco, and Lamar Jackson in this poll. Now, other great players, there's the dude who rushed for 2,000 yards, whose name is escaping me right now. Sorry. Jamal Lewis, I believe is his name. Chris McAllister was really another good player. Anquan Bolden was nice for the Ravens. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. Shannon Sharp again, I guess. But winning this one was Ray Lewis, getting 64% of 218 votes. Ed Reed got 22%, Joe Flacco got 3%, and Lamar Jackson got 11%. Now, I'm not going to call anybody out, but part of me, in hindsight, wonders if that 3% was trolling Joe Flacco. I don't know. Ed Reed was my favorite on here. In my opinion, Ed Reed's my, greatest safety of all time. Ed Reed was really good, sorry. I thought my cat was alerting me somebody was here. But, yeah, who knows? Maybe one day Lamar can take this. He's still young. He's got the MVP. But as of now, my community likes Ray Lewis over Ed Reed and Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson. Moving on. When I came back, it was the Bengals poll. This one was between Joe Burrow, Home Alone, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, AJ Green, Ramsey Hater, and Jamar Chase. Don't have one for Jamar Chase. And the winner of this one was, any guesses at home? Chad Johnson. Yep, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco. I'm a little surprised by this, but not really, because who doesn't like Chad Johnson? The voting was, out of 172 votes, Joe Burrow got 20%, Chad Johnson got 67%, AJ Green got 10%, and then what really surprised me, Jamar Chase got 3%. I don't know, that's just very shocking to me. Maybe Jamar Chase is still a little too young, but we'll see. But yes, I would have also voted for Chad Johnson in this. Moving on, we've got the Browns, the Cleveland Browns. So, no Ravens here. It was Jim Brown, Joe Thomas, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett. Other guys who possibly could have made this, Joshua Cribbs, Joe Hayden, Baker Mayfield, I guess, maybe. Odell Beckham. I don't know. I can't think of a lot of Browns players, if I'm being honest. For most of my life, they've been pretty bad. But out of 181 votes, Jim Brown got 57% of the votes. Joe Thomas got 13% of the votes. Nick Chubb got 20% of the votes. Heal up. That was a very gruesome injury, I hear. I couldn't watch it. And Myles Garrett got 9% of the votes. I would think Myles Garrett's going to move up this. Just my opinion. I don't know, but him being in last is a little weird to me. The guy's a beast. Anyways, moving on. We got the Minnesota Vikings, my grandma's team. The names I put on here was Justin Jefferson, Adrian Peterson, John Randall, and Randy Moss. I feel like that's a fair four. There's other guys like Chris Carter or Dante Culpepper, Percy Harvin even. Some other great players, but these are like the four from the generations that I wanted to go with. And winning this one, this might be the closest one between two candidates so far. 244 votes, Justin Jefferson got 9%, Adrian Peterson got 30%, John Randall got 5%, and Randy Moss got 56% of the votes. So, although I would have predicted Randy Moss to win this, it was a close one. Closer one, I should say. He still won by 26%. But, moving on, we got the Bears. I think all of you can predict who won this, but we had Michael Singletary, Justin Fields, Walter Payton, and Mike Ditka are the 4 I put on here. Other names I could have put on here, Brian Urlacher, even Jay Cutler, I guess, Brandon Marshall, Jeff Fisher. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else, honestly. I don't think it would have mattered who else I put on here, though, because we had Michael out of 290 votes, Michael Singletary got 7%, Justin Fields got 7%, Walter Payton got 80%, and Mike Ditka got 7%. I don't know who else I could have put on here that would have changed it up drastically for Walter Payton to lose this. Maybe it'd even lose percentages, but it's pretty funny how the rest got 7%. But moving on, let's move on. Yep, hit the wrong button. Let's move on. Now we're at the Packers, and a lot of good choices for the Packers. I have some buddies who are Packers fans, don't we all? They're everywhere. And I put Aaron Rodgers, Donald Driver, Bart Starr, and Brett Favre on here. And in the closest run so far, out of 162 votes, we had Aaron Rodgers get 45%, Donald Driver get 11%, Bart Starr get 6%, and Brett Favre get 38%, meaning Aaron Rodgers won this poll, won this race. Wasn't sure how this one was going to go since Aaron Rodgers is now a Jet, not playing for the Jets, but is a Jet, and I don't know, maybe that would have played a factor into this a little bit if he was playing right now, but Packer fans still love Aaron Rodgers. He's got 45% of the votes. Other players I could have put on here, I mean, I like Charles Woodson when he was here, Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Sterling Sharp, Amon Green. I can't go back to the Bart Starr days. I have no idea. Yeah, a lot of good options for the Packers. Let's move on. We at Detroit. For Detroit, we had Amon St. Brown, Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford. Other guys I could have put on here, I don't know. Dan Orlovsky. I don't know who else the Lions would want on here. I was a fan of Jahavid Best in Madden, but I think he only played like a year in the NFL, maybe 2 years. So, yeah. Anyways, enough stalling. Out of 263 votes, Amon-Ra St. Brown received 5%. Barry Sanders received 57%, meaning he already won this. Calvin Johnson got 32%, and Matthew Stafford got 6%. This one doesn't really surprise me much. Barry Sanders is like that guy. I think everybody acknowledges that. Everybody wishes they could have saw him play for a better team, or a better line at least. But, you know, those were the cards he was dealt, and he made a Hall of Fame career out of it. Some call him the GOAT. He's definitely up there for sure. All right, moving on. We are up to the Tennessee Titans. I thought it'd be fun to do all running backs. Maybe a side poll here. Who has a better running back, Mount Rushmore, the Rams or the Titans? I vehemently believe it's the Rams. My buddy Derek, who you've seen on the podcast offs if you watch, says it's the Titans. I think he's smoking. But that'll probably be a poll coming to you soon. And with 252 votes, we probably have the closest all-around poll. And what's funny is, when I remember when this was first happening, Derrick Henry was in last place, but let's see where he was. Let's see where he is now. Derrick Henry, out of 252 votes, received 30% of the vote. Is that enough? Eddie George received 23% of the vote. Chris Johnson got 40% of the vote. And Earl Campbell got 8% of the vote. Meaning, as of now, oh my God, as of now, Chris Johnson is still the most popular Tennessee Titan. In my community, at least. In the iDOit community, at least. Sorry, I don't want to do this. Better. Alright. Moving on. Other names that could have made it on here. Brian Tannehill, I guess. AJ Brown. I don't know. In my opinion, there isn't. Oh, definitely Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham. Steve McNair, the guy who brought the MVP there. There was other options, but I just went with the 4 running backs. I like to do themes every once in a while. And the Houston Texans with, the Houston Texans with 323 votes, which might be the most votes I've ever gotten in a poll. Coincidentally, the Texans being that team, I see. We had Andre Johnson, Arian Foster, DeAndre Hopkins, and Deshaun Watson. 4 really good players, but the winner of this was Andre Johnson with 55%. Arian Foster got 11%, because this is scripted. DeAndre Hopkins got 30%. Deshaun Watson, 5%. I think Andre Johnson is one of those guys who's just like the flag bearer of a franchise, so I can see why he won this pretty decisively. A little surprised DeAndre Hopkins got 30%, but what can you say? He was great for them. I don't know if he broke any Andre's record, but I can believe it. Let's move on from them. Now we've got the Colts. And the Colts got 264 votes. The people I put on here was Andrew Luck, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Peyton Manning. Winning this was, Andrew Luck got 5% of the votes, Marvin Harrison got 13% of the votes, Reggie Wayne got 3% of the votes, and Peyton Manning got 79% of the votes, destroying the field. But yet still, somebody in the comments was like, I see Peyton Manning as more of a Bronco. I do not understand that. I don't know if dude was trolling me or something. I even checked to see if it was the same guy from the Broncos one, and it wasn't. So, Peyton Manning, 79% out of 264 votes. Moving on from the Colts, though, we got the Jaguars. The Jaguars, I put Mark Brunell, Jimmy Smith, Trevor Lawrence, and Maurice Jones-Drew. And Mark Brunell, 10%. Jimmy Smith, 10%. Trevor Lawrence, 19%. Maurice Jones-Drew, 61% of the votes. I literally can't think of anybody else I'd want to put on here. Shout out to Jimmy Smith. He actually gave me a like on Instagram. I made an animation for him. But Rasheed Mathis, Mercedes Lewis, I can't think of anybody else. Sorry, I've forgotten to do other guys who could have made the polls earlier, but I kind of just forgot. Moving on to the Saints. My buddy's a Saints fan. I went with Marquise Colston, Deuce McAllister, Drew Brees, and Cameron Jordan. Now, out of the 223 votes, Cameron Jordan got 7. Drew Brees got 73, so it's pretty obvious he won this. Deuce McAllister got 16. Marquise Colston got 4. Now, here's a question I have for everybody. Is Marquise Colston a Hall of Famer? We talked about that on the pod. I say no, but some others disagreed with me. There is a Saints fan in there, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. And I'll probably link it at the top right here. So first time I'll try to use that little banner thing, But let's move on to them Falcons. The Falcons, 353 votes. And I put Matt Ryan on there, who got 5%. Julio Jones, 14%. Deion Sanders, 52%. And Michael Vick, 29%. This one, actually pretty close. I mean, as we've seen with some of these guys win by like 60%. Deion beat Michael Vick by, 30? Sorry. Beat Michael Vick by 23%. Pretty close, especially with how popular Deion is right now. Other guys who could have made this, Roddy White, Michael Turner, Tony Gonzalez. They got some young guys coming up there now with, what's his name, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I can't remember the running back's name at the moment, but he's pretty good. But yep, Deion Sanders, 52% of 353 votes. So let's move on. Yes, to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has Leroy Selman, Mike Evans, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks. Other guys, John Lynch, Vincent Jackson. I want to say they had a really good receiver paired with Vincent Jackson. Maybe it was Mike Evans. Maybe Mike Evans is that old. I can't remember. Gronk, Tom Brady, I guess. But out of the 210 votes, Leroy Selman got 6%. Mike Evans got 20%. Warren Sapp, 62%. Derek Brooks, 12%. I mean, I don't know. Warren Sapp, I guess, is who I think of when I think of the Bucs. Me personally, Derek Brooks is my favorite of these guys. Oh, Rondé Barber is my favorite Buck, though. Derek Brooks is second, but I'm a Rondé Barber fan. All right, moving on. Yeah, I don't think I gave Warren Sapp his moment to shine. Warren Sapp, yay! All right, the Panthers, my, I guess second favorite team, was born in North Carolina. 365 votes for a vote, so 1 vote per day for a year. We had Steve Smith Sr., Christian McCaffrey, Cam Newton, Julius Peppers. I'm blanking on the quarterback's name, but he probably could have made this. The one who went to the Super Bowl with Steve Smith. Mohamed Masson, I believe that was his name. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else who should have been on here. At least off the top of my head. Oh, Luke Kuechly and John Beeson. Those were some beasts. D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart. Yeah, I should have remembered them. Maybe I should even put them on here as a pair. But Steve Smith, 48%. Christian McCaffrey, 12%. Cam Newton, 31%. Julius Peppers, 9%. So, 48% of people voted for, dang it, 365%. Oh my God. 365 people. You know what? I had it right the first time. 48% of 365 thought Steve Smith is their favorite Carolina Panther. And I would agree. Steve Smith is probably my favorite receiver who never played for the Rams. You know, yeah, drop the probably. He is my favorite receiver who never played for the Rams. Let's move on. The Dallas Cowboys. Wow. Who would have thought the Panthers would vote more? The Carolina would vote more than Cowboys. Dallas. No, I'm just kidding. I know a lot of these are probably the same people voting. But I threw on Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. So, I know there's probably somebody like, how is Deion Sanders not on here? I don't know. There's your answer. And I wanted to throw more Cowboy guys on here. Deion kind of is everywhere. Like when you close your eyes, you picture him in a Cowboy uniform or Falcons uniform or Niner uniform or Washington uniform or Baltimore uniform. You know, I just threw him on Falcons because that was his first team, and that's where I picture him at least. It's where the legend was born in NFL terms. But out of 247 votes, Tony Romo got 16%, Dak Prescott got 3%, Michael Irvin got 33%, and Emmitt Smith got 48%. So, Emmitt's your winner for the Cowboys. This one is probably the first one that shocked me. I think the rest of these I could believe in, but I don't know, maybe it's just the circles I'm hanging out in. We do not respect Emmitt Smith as much as he deserves, but everybody gives a lot of credit to his line, which in hindsight isn't really fair, but you know, he did have some Hall of Famers in front of him. But let's move on from there. The Cowboys are talked about way too much anyways. Emmitt Smith, moving on. And here we are with the Eagles. The Eagles. I threw on Nick Foles, Brian Dawkins, Deshaun Jackson, Randall Cunningham. I think the glaring one that people would love to have seen on here is probably Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, Asante Samuel. Yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. Oh man, how did I not put Reggie White on here? Dang. Man, how did I not put Reggie White at all? I didn't put him on the Packers either. That's a fumble. That's an L. I love Deshaun Jackson and all, but he's probably the one who would have to go. Well, I mean, technically by the poll, Nick Foles is the one who would have to go. Carson Wentz, I know people don't love him now, but he was an MVP candidate. But anyways, out of 177 votes, Nick Foles got 11%, Brian Dawkins got 44%, Deshaun Jackson 21%, and Randall Cunningham 24%, meaning Brian Dawkins won the Eagles poll. Arguably one of the greatest safeties of all time. It's not arguable, but is he the greatest? Is what's arguable. Move on. Washington Commanders, Redskins, football team, whatever you want to call them. I threw on Clinton Portis, Darrell Green, Terry McLaurin, Sean Taylor. Some guys who probably could have made this. Santana Moss, who's probably my favorite Washington player. Doug Johnson, is that his name? He was like the Super Bowl quarterback. London Fletcher. I love London Fletcher, but he's a former Ram, so I'm a little biased there. I don't know why I'm blanking on names so hard right now. Had 10 comments in there, so there's clearly somebody that they wanted in. But Clinton Portis got 11%, Darrell Green got 20%, Terry McLaurin got 4%, and Sean Taylor got 65%. I remember what's in the comments. People were saying Sean Taylor's only winning this because he died young, and I don't know, maybe that's true, but he was a pretty good safety, but I don't know. Sean Taylor was a pretty good player. Maybe it's the Tupac thing, but who knows. In hindsight, I probably should have kicked Terry off for Santana Moss, because Santana Moss probably is the greatest rival he could have had on here, according to people, because he always comments Santana Moss. But I wanted to get somebody from this generation. According to my buddy Derek, who's an Ohio State fan, he's like the greatest receiver in the league. No, I don't want to put words in his mouth. He said he's like top 5 in the league. No, I disagree with that. But move on. 255 votes. I don't remember if I said that or not. All right, and the Giants, a team I root for, but behind the Rams and Panthers. But, I don't even know what I'm saying. The Giants, I threw on Michael Strahan, Eli Manning, Lawrence Taylor, Saquon Barkley. I'm not surprised with the result, but I am surprised with the margin. Other guys who could have made it, Odell Beckham, obviously, people love Odell. Brandon Jacobs was a beast. Osi Yermaniori, I don't know, I've never known how to say his name. Justin Tuck, yeah, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Anyways, Saquon Barkley got 6%. Lawrence Taylor got 61%. Eli Manning, 18%. And Michael Strahan, 15%. Yeah. I know Lawrence Taylor's popular and all, but dang, man, we don't even see Lawrence that often. I really thought Eli Manning was going to win this, honestly. But Lawrence Taylor running away with it on top of things, That was kind of shocking to me. But the poll has spoken, and 61% of the 338 people thought Lawrence Taylor was the guy, so Lawrence Taylor moved on. All right. The New York Jets. Always an underdog to me. But for the Jets, I threw on Joe Namath, Darrelle Revis, Curtis Martin, and Zach Wilson. No, I'm just playing. Sauce Gardner. And other guys who could have been on here, Tony Richardson. I know he was always good in Madden. I feel like somebody will try to slap me if I say Mark Sanchez, but he was the quarterback for that team. Antonio Cromartie. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna front with y'all, man. I don't know a lot of Jets who were Jets and Keyshawn Johnson. The names who were coming to mind were Santonio Holmes and LaDainian Tomlinson and Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. That was why I had a little hard time with this. But I think a little predictably, out of 187 votes, Joe Namath got 28%, Darrelle Revis got 56%, Curtis Martin 8%, Sauce Gardner 8%. Meaning, Darrelle Revis ran away with this. Sorry, I forgot to wipe the other one. Darrelle Revis ran away with this, 56% of the votes. Darrelle Revis, arguably, I don't know how many people will say he's the greatest cornerback of all time, but I think he's in the conversation at least. Let's move on. Here we are at the Dolphins. The Dolphins, I put on Dan Marino, Jason Taylor, Larry Zonka, I think is how you say it, and Tyreek Hill. I don't know, there's probably other guys. Ricky Williams, Reggie Bush was okay for the Dolphins. Brandon Marshall was okay for the Dolphins, but he wasn't there long. Teddy Ginn was a Dolphin. I don't know. Can't think of many great Dolphins off the top of my head. Tua could be on here one day. Jalen Waddle could be on here one day. But I think probably pretty safe for the next 20 years unless those previous two guys start racking up championships or something. Dan Marino, I'm just going to push the button now. Dan Marino, 74% of the vote. Jason Taylor, 6% of the vote. Larry Zonka, 3% of the votes. Tyreek Hill, 17% of the votes. Yeah, Dan Marino, he's probably the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. He at least has my vote. I would love to see what Dan Marino could do now. He'd probably throw for 6,000 yards in a season. But who knows? Move on. I don't remember if I said it. I'm just saying real quick to be safe. 213 votes. Dan Marino got 74% of that. So he probably got at least 160 votes. All right. And now we are to the New England Patriots. I threw on Rob Gronkowski, Randy Moss, Vince Wilfork, and Thomas Brady. How does Skip Bayless say it? Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Something. I believe is his name. That's how much meat riding happens for Tom Brady. People saying his full name and know it like verbatim. Anyways, other guys who could have gone on here: Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. Man, truthfully, I cannot think of any safety or any Patriots like prior to the Tom Brady days. Ty Law, what's his name? Teddy Bruschi, I believe is his name. Is it Mike Vrabel? Doesn't he have like the most touchdowns as a defensive player on offense? Even Kevin Falk. Man, I cannot think of the middle linebacker's name. Oh, he's really good. He had like braids. Brandon Merriweather is another great player. I just can't think of the. I think he was a safety. Patrick Chung was good. Now I'm just naming guys, honestly. But anyways, Rob Gronkowski 15%, Randy Moss 23%, Vince Wilfork 7%, Tom Brady 315%. I'm sorry, it feels like that. Tom Brady 55% of 315, meaning Tom Brady walked away with this one pretty decisively. That was 3 weeks ago. Yep, 3 weeks ago. Anyways, enough Tom Brady talk. Moving on. All right, the Buffalo Bills. 241 votes. We got Josh Allen, Jim Kelly, Bruce Smith, Buffalo Bill. You like that? That's a little joke I threw in there. Never even seen the movie. Yeah. Other Bills: Stephon Diggs, Terrell Owens. I don't know. I can't think of Bills right now. Fred Jackson, Marshawn Lynch, I guess. This is actually a very close race, it seems. Josh Allen got 27% of the votes. Is that enough? Jim Kelly, 15% of the votes. Not enough. Bruce Smith, 36% of the votes. Buffalo Bill, 23% of the votes. Meaning, Bruce Smith took this one in a narrow race. Honestly, though, if anybody's watched this far, if I didn't put the joke Buffalo Bill in, who would you have liked to see in that spot? Off the top of my head right now, the only person I can think of that I'd put in there is Stephon Diggs, but you guys probably don't like that. Oh, you know what? I could have put in like Thurman Thomas or his name Andre Rison or something like that. Anyways, go away now. Anyways, I don't remember if I said it. Bruce Smith, 36% of 241 votes. And that the Bills were the last team. So this is when the tournament officially began.